Welcome to the High Level Entrepreneur podcast with me, Joanna Skog. In today's episode, I would like to talk to you about when you get stuck in the short-term sales cycle and how to get out of it. And this is something that a lot of high-level entrepreneurs that come to me deal with. So I work with experienced entrepreneurs. Often they are already at 100K in revenue, 150K, 200K, 300K. And they want to scale, they want to grow, but they are still focused on the short-term results and the short-term sales. And all they can think about is like, how do I make my next program launch be successful? Or how can I get more clients in or more projects in to my business within the next month or within the next quarter? And the reason, like what that usually leads to, the short-term results focus, what that usually leads to is you get stuck in that cycle of always being focused on the short-term results. So what is the reason to why that happens? And like, why is this dangerous? Okay. Well, when you are only focused on the short-term results and you're focused on like, I need to get that client, I need to make sure that next month we hit the goals, I need to make sure that my program within the next quarter is successful, I need to do this and that. When you are focused on those short-term objectives, short-term goals, getting the sales in right now, what usually happens is you are not focusing on the long-term goals. You are not focusing on creating sustainability in your business. You are not focused on creating recurring clients. You're not focused on, getting your business to the level where sales is actually easy and you don't have to think about the short-term goals constantly and the short-term results. So the danger about always being in the short-term game is that you will have to play the short-term game for a very long time, and it's very difficult to get out of. This is why you usually want to focus on the long-term game early on, when you don't need to focus on the long-term game. When you think that I have all this momentum and sales are coming in and it's always going to be like this, that is an extremely dangerous way of thinking, is to think that you are always going to have momentum or things are always going to be easy like it is right now. Because when you have that mentality, you are not living in the reality of like, the momentum will not be constant. But what leads to constant momentum, or what leads to true momentum, that isn't based on effort, constant effort, and needing to make the sales happen or needing to post a lot of content in order to get a client in, or needing to convince someone. What actually leads to real, like, calm momentum and less effort needed is when you have focused on the long-term growth so much that things suddenly seems easy to you. Like, it suddenly looks like things just start happening easily. It suddenly looks like you no longer have to push. You suddenly selling a 10K client or 20K client feels easy, and you're almost forgetting about the long-term growth work you actually did, because now everything is so much easier. And you no longer have to constantly push for the short-term results and kind of close the year at the level you want to be at, or think about the next quarter, think about the next month, or constantly hustling. So when entrepreneurs get to this level, like when they're kind of at 6 figures, multi-six figures even, sometimes they got to where they are by taking on as many clients as possible, by working as hard as they can, by saying yes to everything, and like spreading themselves very thin, and being a lot of the time in execution mode in business, and like launching, delivering, selling, like all execution, not so much being in the CEO mode. So when you get too much stuck in execution mode and focus on the short-term results, you don't have any time for the long-term growth and the long-term focus. And the more you do that, the longer you allow that to happen, the longer you will get stuck in that, because then suddenly you'll wake up and realize you have done zero long-term growth work. You only focused on sales conversion. You've only focused on like getting the clients in and making the program successful, making the offer successful, making money, getting money into your bank account. Like you focus so much on that and haven't spent any time on things like growing your industry leadership and things like long-term leads, focusing on nurturing the leads that aren't super warm and aren't ready to buy yet. And actually building a legacy in your brand and your business, not just creating sales through social media. And when you don't focus on that enough, you get to a point when you are even more desperate for sales, because suddenly you will start to notice how that momentum drops off. And suddenly sales starts to get harder. The market has changed. Suddenly, like your offer is not working as well anymore. Like everything you're doing is no longer working as well. And then you're kind of left wondering like, all right, where's the next strategy I could follow? What is the next hack I could do? Like you're going to be very reactive to the market and how customer behavior changes. And not that we shouldn't listen to customer behavior, not that we shouldn't listen to the market. And the difference between the people that tend to dominate the industry for an extended period of time and be able to survive no matter what the market looks like and no matter what happens is those people have built for long-term growth. They have cared about their personal brand and their industry leadership from early on. And they have decided that I'm not just here to make sales today. I'm here to build a business where sales come easy. I'm here to build a business where premium clients, high-level clients want to work with me. I'm here to not stay at charging 3K or 4K for an offer. I'm here to start becoming the kind of person who can charge $30,000 for an offer or $50,000 for an offer. When you have those kind of goals and visions, you're going to make certain decisions and have certain focuses in your business that's a little bit different than everyone else, right? Like if you're literally only focused on making the quarter sales goals or closing the year at the level where other people will consider you successful, or if you're only focused on like, how can I get enough money into my business now so I can pay myself a good salary, and how can I, like when you're focused on that, you're always gonna be focusing on that. Like if your focus goes towards making the short term happen, you're always going to be making the short term happen because you don't pay enough time and attention to the long term growth. You don't pay any time and attention to the big vision. All right. So what truly leads to those long term, like when you look at people, like you wonder why are things so easy for them? Like why are they relaxing? Why are they, why are things coming easy for them and I'm struggling? It's not necessarily that they know something you don't, but it's the fact that they haven't been as reactive in their business and only focus on the short term. They've built for the long term from early on. Personally, I started focusing on my brand like from day one because I saw the vision for myself. I was like, I'm going to be the next this or that. I'm going to be highly paid in my industry. I'm going to be a known name in my industry. And if I want that kind of results, like I'm not just talking about like, oh, my goal is to have 10K months. Like it's like more about I want to get to a completely different level than everyone else. When you have those kind of standards for yourself, are you gonna just hustle for this month's sales, or are you also going to focus on like, how do I build a brand and a legacy and a name that's so strong that everyone wants to work with me, and like brands are drawn to me, or leaders, executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs, whatever it is, whoever you want to work with as your premium client. Like when you're focused on that, you're going to understand that like oh, then based on those visions, based on that goal, then I need to freaking take action now. It's not like that's something that's just going to happen, right? So you're going to be focused on like protecting your brand, growing your audience, like creating visibility for yourself. You're going to plan for your business growth for year and end. You're going to figure out like, how can I have a scalable business model that doesn't just stop with me, but can actually grow beyond me? Like, you're going to make those shifts already now instead of pushing for short-term results and you get to a point where you actually don't even like your business because you built a prison around yourself and you never paid enough attention to the long-term vision and the long-term growth. So I had that perspective early on. And I think that's like, I'm so thankful to the old me because that's the reason things started becoming easier later on, right? In the beginning, you do a lot of work and you don't really see the results yet. And it's like that with everything, like launching something, growing your brand, going international, whatever it is, building a business. Like, you won't see immediate results. And yes, it can be easy to like lose your motivation because of it. But if you continue to go, not needing validation, not needing immediate results, and you know that you are building towards something special and unique and different, you're going to get to the point where everything is suddenly way easier for you than it is for everyone else. And you're going to notice people around you hustling, staying stuck at the same revenue level, like kind of being affected by the recession. And you're going to wonder like, oh, but I'm not seeing that. Like, I'm not negatively affected by any of that because I built a legacy. Like, I've built a presence, I've built a name for myself. And I focus on building a company and business that I actually want to continue to run and I want it to grow beyond me. And I'm not just thinking about like, how can I get as many clients in as I can this year? I'm thinking about like, how do I get my business to grow to an even bigger level? How do I make sure that this offer that I'm launching now isn't only successful this year, but is actually successful years and years and years and years to come? And how do I make my offer become the kind of offer where people are lining up to join? Like, people are standing in line to join that offer. People are, I have a wait list for people joining my offers. Like, how do I create that kind of vision? That's what you should be asking yourself. But a lot of entrepreneurs still get stuck in this short-term mindset of like, how do I make sales in this next program? Those things are important to think about. Of course, like, you're not just the CEO of your business, you're operating your business. You're making daily decisions of your business. You're delivering your offers. But if you are not stepping into CEO mode more often, if you are not like laying the long-term vision, long-term plan for your business and noticing what needs to be done and what needs to change and shift now in order to make those long-term goals more of a reality, then you're constantly going to be stuck in the exact same spot, working hard, hustling, putting in a lot of effort and feeling like any type of result you generate requires a lot of effort. And I'll give you an example. Like, I've had clients that are focused all on conversion. And it's kind of like getting the leads in and converting them as quickly as possible. And what I've needed to teach them is like, you are doing an amazing job at converting your leads. You're doing an amazing job at selling. Like, that's your strength, is having a high conversion rate. It's converting, your sales meetings, converting your leads to cold leads to become clients. That's amazing. So on surface, that looks like an amazing skill. All right, you can always sell. You get leads in, you convert them, you sell, right? So, but the danger of not understanding that that's not enough, you also need to be really good at making sure that leads aren't only coming in from your short-term effort. Leads are also coming in from your long-term effort, from the name you built, from the reputation you built, from your industry leadership, from long form content, long term content, like from legacy. Like, if that's where your leads are coming in, like, then you can literally also take a break and skip a launch every once in a while, or take a break from social media, and you will still get leads coming in. You will still have people inquiring because of the long-term brand you have built, like because of the branding, not because of the sales, not because of the effort, right? And another thing that's dangerous about that is like the market can shift and change, and focusing on getting the leads in and selling to the cold leads could lead to like the client is becoming more and more suspicious and taking slower to buy, or they start to compare different people to each other, or they are, the offer is no longer working, the ads are no longer working, whatever it could be. Like, if you're just focusing on the end of the funnel and converting and the sales, again, like, you are always going to have to focus on that. And when things stop working as well, you don't have anything to lean back towards. You're gonna have to once again look for a new hack or look for a new short-term strategy, instead of putting all of your effort into thinking like, how do I become the kind of leader that people are like dying to work with? How do I become the kind of person that people follow for years and years and years, and like binge all my content, binge all my low ticket offers, want to join every single offer I join, like I launch? How do I become the person that people speak about in rooms I'm not in? So they recommend me without me needing to be there. They talk about me without ever having worked with me. Like, that's the kind of industry leadership you want to build. And that's the only thing that's going to be sustainable for growth in the long term, right? Because yes, sales is amazing. Like, you need to know sales, you need to know how to convert. Like, that's great. But if you're always focusing on the end of the funnel, you always focus on getting the clients in, you're always going to be doing that. And that means you're going to feel very stressed. You're going to be very sensitive to market shifts and changes. You're going to be very sensitive to changes on social media platforms, algorithms. And you're always going to have to put in effort and see effort equals results. When actually, like, if you do things right, there can be the opposite, where less effort equals bigger results, because you are not just focusing on the end of the funnel that usually requires more effort. You are focused also on growth, on long-term growth, on building the vision, on the brand, on the industry leadership, and that's making like all of that easy for you. That means that you can literally lean back and know that leads are always coming in. And not just leads, but people that want to pay like 5K, $10,000, $20,000 to work with you. Not people that you have to convince. And it doesn't matter if the market changes or the consumers are becoming more hesitant to buy, because you have that level of trust. You have that industry leadership in your brand that makes people feel like, if there's anyone that I would work with, it's you, right? Not like see an ad and try to convert that person, or trying to find you and immediately trying to convert that person, because the majority of the people that find you are not ready to buy just yet. Like, the majority of people that find you might become a buyer. They might be able to buy from you and become one of your clients. But if you are not focused on like making them see you as the leader, industry leader, growing a relationship with them and nurturing them, and like trying to make them see you as someone that they want to pay a high ticket price to work with, if you're not focused on that, then you're always going to kind of be stuck focusing on all of the short-term goals. Like, you're always going to have to be focused on getting the clients in and getting those small percent of people who are ready to buy now to buy. Okay? Instead of realizing like there's like, out of 1,000 people, Maybe you have like 5 people or 10 people ready to buy, but there's all those 990 people that aren't ready to buy, that you can make them ready to buy, right? And that's the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs are making, especially when they have gotten to six figures like 100K, 150K, 200K in revenue. They've been really good at putting in the effort and getting the sales, but they haven't been as good as getting the long-term growth, where effort doesn't have to equal results, but actually ease and calm and lean back energy can get more results and big results. So if I want you to take away something from this episode, is please, please, please stop being so focused on the everyday, short-term, quarterly results and start thinking about what kind of business you are building for 5-10 years from now. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be known for? How easy do you want sales to feel? And based on that, what kind of moves and actions and shifts do you need to make today? Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.